Hey folks, it's Mr. Moff, and I have for you a 4 vs 4 in the Operation Market Garden mod on Company of Heroes. Today we are playing on Purple Heart Lane. For the Axis we have Unlimited, Razor, and Run Zombie. And for the Allies we have Trapmaker, Matron, and a Taco. So let's take a look at their units before we begin. Lieutenant Underpants is starting with a Sherman and some Rangers. We can see that he's playing as infantry. We'll switch to allies real quick since we're over here. And likewise, Attack Taco is starting with a Sherman, but he's also starting... Nope, yep, these are Rangers. So 2 infantry players with Sherman starts. That's interesting. We can see that Taco has Thompsons and bazookas, whereas it seems as though Underpants does not have Thompsons. Over on the left, we've got Matron, also with Rangers. And I don't see the 4th player, so we'll go look at Axis for a bit until they come onto the field. So over here for the Axis, Run Zombie is starting with a bunch of Panzerschrecks and machine guns on Grenadiers. In the middle, we've got Razor starting with a Stug, as well as a Terror Officer, a Defensive Officer, and some Panzerschrecks and KCH and a machine gun. We've got on the right here, Unlimited with some Volksgrenadiers, another officer, a Defensive Officer, as well as an AT gun and a motorbike for scouting. And then on the right, we've got Panzergrenadiers from I Just Don't Care, and an armored car. So I still don't see the 4th allied player. And the reason for that is they are playing airborne. It's Trapmaker, starting with a whole bunch of RRs and assault airborne. So that's that resolved. This is being played on the new patch that came out the other day. And I suspect that is why we're seeing so many defensive officers, because you can see, for example, one of the things that was added in this patch was a new Doction ability for every Doction that you could choose to unlock. And we can see one in effect right here. The defensive officer can purchase the British Lieutenant Aura for, I think, 60 munitions and 5 VPs. So we'll have to keep a lookout for any other new Doction abilities in effect. But meanwhile, the action is getting started. So we've got the opening engagement between the Sherman and the Stug. This is a short barrel Sherman, so neither of these units are going to be that great at penetrating each other. Of course, the Allies have the advantage in handheld AT here for sure with all of these RRs and bazookas. So we'll see what the team does to back him up. These guys are being suppressed, I guess, by this machine gun here. And there's an Offmet coming down. Perhaps a terror barrage? Yes, it's a terror barrage. But it looks like the Allies are going to dodge that without too much difficulty. They're going to keep just trying to circle around and get grenades off on these units here. This officer is not long for this world. Going to try to grab the Panzerschreck lest it be dropped, and he does get away with denying that from the paratroopers. That would have been a nasty thing to have to contend with. But this Sherman is doing a lot of damage to these troops, especially this machine gun. But meanwhile, he's just letting the Stug just wail on him. And he does go down. The Stug is going to want to get out of here, but instead he is advancing, presumably to try to keep these Rangers pinned down while the rest of these troops advance. Bit of a risky play. Not a giant fan of it, but at the very least it looks like maybe they'll get this Ranger for his troubles. But on the left here, it looks like Matron is moving right to assist his team, while Run Zombie is content to just sort of leave a couple units watching the side and focus the rest of his attention on his Grenadiers with all of these weapons. Over here on the far right, it looks like Unlimited has sort of set up a little fortification around this church. There's also a booby trap in it, probably from I Just Don't Care, who you can see is playing Scorched Earth based on these things here, I'm fairly certain. Not super familiar with PE, but I believe he's playing Scorched Earth by these abilities that he has here. So there's the booby trap. There's an M10 on now from Trapmaker, and a Hellcat from Underpants. It's very interesting. A little bit of an overkill to take out a wounded Stug, if I'm honest. But at the very least, as far as tank destroyers go, you could have worse picks for a multi-roll, because the M10 is good at crushing, and the Hellcat has the 50 cal on it. But there's a lot of Panzerschrecks floating around, far more Panzerschrecks for my liking, for this kind of investment to kill a vehicle that would die in one hit to really anything. There goes the armored car though, but the M10 is taking a lot of damage for its trouble. The Hellcat is coming around the back here as well, probably going to get hit by this AT gun. And here are the Panzerschrecks. Main gun, yeah. So I'm not entirely sure what this play was, but it has, at the very least, gotten all of these Axis units distracted worrying about the tanks, while all this elite infantry swoops in and cleans it up. This pack is now decrewed and has been stolen. And Underpants is going to want to get that the hell out of here. And he does. So, Allies on the offensive on the right here. We've got 3 players pushing over here. Meanwhile, Matron on the left is just sort of, it seems, skirmishing with Run Zombie's bulk of Grenadiers. While he is investing a lot of units in this flanking action, while his team is not doing so great over here on the other side. Fresh round of troops coming on. An Ostwind from Razor, which I am... well, alright. That's fair, I guess. With all of the infantry that's skulking about, they just sort of rely on the Panzerschreck, but a free hit on that from them 10 before it goes down is not what you want to see. And with all this elite infantry with anti-tank weapons on it, I don't know if I love the Ostwind here, but we'll see if he can make use of it. We do see I Just Don't Care has used his reinforcement point ability as Panzer Elite to turn this into a healing station. Of course, there is no reinforcement at OMG, that's just what the ability from Vico is called. More paratroopers coming in from Trapmaker. And we also have a healing station up for the Allies from Attack Taco, so both sides taking a moment to regroup, heal their troops, and call on their reinforcements before they go at it again. Seems like Run Zombie has either been pushed back or has moved back in the face of Matron's units over here. Don't know why they're going so slowly. That's strange. So here comes the next wave. Trapmaker's got all these paratroopers, lots of RRs in here. That Ostwind's going to want to be careful. Geschützwagen as well. For the Hellcat, there's a Sherman now. And they have to know about the Sherman because it has kills, so there you go. Because I don't see the Hellcat. The Hellcat, I think, probably died. Yeah, there it is. Some Ostfront veterans as well from I Just Don't Care. I'd love to see that heavy infantry. Maybe he's intending to try to use that to counteract all of this elite infantry from the Allies. But now the Allies are making their push. Attack Tuckle on the right with his tank and flamethrowers and Thompsons. And then Trapmaker, meanwhile, heading over to the left. So maybe this is just sort of a distraction ploy that the Allies want to make to get the enemies to come over here, but it doesn't look like it's working, because the Axis is pulling back, shifting left, while Attack Taco advances. The AT gun needs to rephase. And there it goes. But what's going on over here? Here comes the paratrooper push. So we'll have to see how the Axis responds, because they've got this tank to deal with, along with all this stuff. They've also got a big push going on right now, and here's what I was talking about. There's the RRs taking out the Ostwind. With all of the handheld AT going on, the vehicles is not really what you want to get to counter this. Now we see the mobile medical supply call-in thingy that Airborne can get. But rather than use it, Trapmaker is just going to get aggressive and try to wipe out these troops. Looks like an artillery offensive has gone down on it, so that supply drop is not going to be able to get used. But not really the end of the world, because even though Trapmaker didn't get to use anything out of this, he definitely came out on top in this engagement, and he forced his opponents to use a limited use ability here. I don't see an officer in the area, so I think that was probably an actual off-map and not an officer ability. So that definitely could have been worse. Trapmaker definitely came out on top there. Because he has other ways to heal his troops, but the off-maps, the terror off-map that I'm fairly certain that's what that was, are limited in quantity. He has found now a repair bunker that I think he was using attack ground to attack through these trees here. So allies know where that is now. Taco taking a minute to repair up his tank with the help of Lieutenant Underpants's engineers. And Lieutenant Underpants is bringing on a Greyhound as well to try to put a chunk of damage into all this elite infantry here. He's, I think, noticed that they don't have any visible anti-tank on them. Maybe they have AT grenades, but those are rare. So as long as he can sort of dance around these Panzerschrecks and this Geschützwagen, that is an interesting pick, and I kind of like it. Overall, it feels like the Allies are in a bit of a more advantageous position here. They definitely have the center line. This set of buildings here is going to be very difficult for the Axis to attack unless they figure out something to do, because it's got windows on all sides. It's perfect for setting up things like these BAR rifles or a machine gun or something to just sort of lock down this open area. And then it has these very easy to use shot blockers for tanks and so on to pop in and out of. And even here, right, you can see this pack gun gets the shot on the Sherman, but then the Sherman just advances and now it cannot see anymore. And neither can the Geschützwagen. I mean, Taco's gotten his tank in a little bit of a spot, but I'm just saying this is sort of the environment that you can use to your advantage if you play it smart. But that is not what I would constitute playing it smart, because the Sherman does go down to a rear armor hit as he was getting greedy to try to get some hits on the bunker. As far as vehicles go, I will say there was a major bug fix in this patch. If you watch some of the previous replays, you might have noticed that every vehicle basically always had vehicle cover. There would have been a little green shield by its health bar. And it was bugged in that it would be like this, but on the vehicle. And that was just there all the time, which was contributing to a vehicle-heavy meta, just because Panzerschrecks and so on had a hard time hitting. That has been fixed, which you can see now in the Geschützwagen hitting an inland armored car, for example. So here comes another elite infantry push from the Allies. All these paratroopers, there's just a critical mass of paratroopers that even though a lot of them have RRs, there's just so many of them that they can focus anything down. Here comes the Axis infantry to respond, but again, a bit of an insufficient amount of anti-tank. They've got this M8 here that's just going to push all these P-Grens back until Razor can get his Panzerschreck in position, but now the M8 is just going to keep dancing around. Really having its way, I like what Underpants is doing with this M8. He's just sort of opportunistically looking for the units that don't have protection, which is letting him take advantage of the fact that, well, I should say work around the fact that that hurts to watch. The fact that his M8 doesn't have that much health. So there's a whole bunch of paratroopers off. You saw another supply drop come down here that was met with another off-map. And this time, a whole bunch of paratroopers went down. So the counter push is going to be, it seems, thwarted by this 130 cal. You would like to... Oh, here's the artillery barrage. Oh no. Where is it? Did I miss it? It was supposed to be the first... Okay, this is a Taco's howitzer. We'll have to keep an eye on Lieutenant Underpants setting up a howitzer specifically, because it's his that gets the ridiculous number of kills. Anyway, yeah, so that push thwarted by 130 cal. You would have liked to see them, split up or go in a different direction. Is this a Geschützwagen suppressing infantry? Is that a thing that can happen? Well, it's not suppressing anything now. So, new reinforcements coming on from the Allies. We got a bunch of quad 50s. Those are always exciting, and some more rifles, and a sniper from Lieutenant Underpants. as I usually do, I will put this on a control group to try to keep an eye on it, and then forget about it. So we'll see if it can do anything useful. It's already got 2 kills to its name. We have, of course, not seen any anti-sniper columns from any of the players, and, you know, why would we? We're only 14 minutes in. But it's just something for Underpants to, of course, keep in mind and try to keep his sniper near protection, near a building, near this elite infantry so that it can't get so easily rushed. And speaking of rushing, wowee, these quads are cleaning the heck up. One goes down to the ambush from the pack. This one's probably going to go down to the Panzerschrecks. So you want to see the other players, the other allied players, get in here and take advantage of all of the chaos that these half-tracks are causing before they go down. 2 of them are down now, and 3. So I have to feel like that is something that was not adequately timed or not adequately taken advantage of, because, I mean, that just caused mayhem. Here's an artillery barrage. Whose artillery is that? He doesn't have a howitzer either. Still, this is a solid barrage, taking a lot of damage on these buildings and so on. I'm just going to stay on Lieutenant Underpants' perspective so I can easily see when he brings on a howitzer. And he has already lost the sniper, so there we go. Left side, meanwhile, seems to be fairly slow. Matron and Run Zombie both just sort of leaving skeleton forces to keep an eye on it while they send the bulk of their troops to the middle here, such as this AT gun versus this Ostwind. Another Ostwind from the Axis that I don't think is going to be very fruitful with all of the elite infantry being fielded by the Allies right now. We also have a Panzer IV from Razor. I don't know. If I were any of these players, I wouldn't be bothering too much with armored vehicles right now, especially as the Axis, until you start dealing with some of this handheld anti-tank that's running around on elite infantry. Never mind the anti-tank guns. Solid miss. Nice chunk of free damage on that Sherman for basically nothing in exchange. But, you know, again, you know, this Panzer IV, 5 kills in and it's almost dead just because of all these RRs. What is going on with troops walking really slow? Strange.
Lost a unit.
Here's a new artillery barrage from Attack Taco. 0 kills in the last one. Solid bounce. This is a short barrel Sherman, so it's an even match, but the Panzerschreck is going to turn that in the favor of the Axis, so that Sherman is going to go down, certainly. But it looks like the Allies are going to push in the wake of this artillery barrage that has probably displaced something. P4 is going to go down as well. Quad 50 flanks out this AT gun, which is going to clear the way. Oh, friendly fire from the Sherman on these airborne, though. It's going to clear the way for the Sherman to come in. There is a Martyr now, and these Martyrs have extremely long range and extremely high rate of fire with their locked down, which you can see this one is. However, I believe the Sherman has very wisely placed itself so that this bunker is blocking line of sight. Consequently, I just don't care. He's going to move his Martyr up. If he's not careful, he's going to put it into range of this AT gun that he, if he's paying really close attention, should see, because this guy is revealing himself. The Sherman goes down to the pack having been recrewed, and Trapmaker's going to get the heck out of there with that off-map artillery barrage coming down. That looks like a defensive officer barrage. I don't see the defensive officer, but I'm fairly certain that's what that was. Alternatively, it might have been a, you know what it is? It's not an off-hop, it's a, that thing. The thing that nobody uses until this patch when it was changed to a utility. The bit where you cast it and it calls in artillery that does like very little friendly fire damage on your own buildings. It's like a defensive whatever. Pretty sure that's what that was. It's nice to see that being used, because that has basically never been used. It's been changed to essentially be an ability on a cooldown rather than limited uses. Because it effectively is a utility. It's the you don't blow up my bunker button. Speaking of off maps, here comes another one. Doing a lot of damage to this airborne squad, but the primary target, the pack gun, is going to get away. I'm guessing this airborne does not have fire up ready to go. Looks like Run Zombie has either been pushed off from or abandoned the far left side. If Matron is able to recognize that, he could easily send a wounded squad, like any of these guys, if they manage to get out of here, which they probably won't, but you know, just like a one guy to go cap up this whole left side uncontested. There's a new Oswin on from Run Zombie. The third Oswin now. I'll be honest, my hopes are not high. Some more Rangers on from Underpants as well, some ambush rifles. With how aggressive the Allies are being, I'd be interested to see how Lieutenant Underpants uses these ambush rifles, because these are mainly a defensive unit. They have sort of Fallschirmjäger type cloak when you put them in cover. But are very squishy when you use them offensively, which is what the Allies are doing right now, is playing very offensively. I like to see the aggression. The Allies are, of course, taking a lot of casualties as they push, but they're dealing a lot in return. I think the Allies generally are coming out on top in most given engagements. Although stuff like this, just sort of throwing away troops I don't love, and coming in piecemeal like this, I don't love. You know, all these troops coming in here, what the heck are these guys doing? What the heck are these guys doing? Stealing a machine gun and gonna get away with it, I guess. Oh, 2 airborne squads for an MG42 that's gonna set up and get turned back over. That's a shame. That had to have been a mistake. Alright, he's gonna get out. Okay, here's an artillery barrage. This is not from Underpants, but yeah, well, worth looking at anyway. Here's a kill. This is a 3rd barrage from attack taco, and it only has 1 kill. There's another howitzer back here from Matron that's just been set up. 3 infantry players. Yeah, you can presume we can expect at least 3 howitzers. And here comes the howitzer barrage from Matron. Coming in on the mortar bunker from Run Zombie. So Run Zombie, I believe we already knew he was playing defensive. Really just looking for the lucky undershoot on this mortar. And they do get it when I looked away. So, very fortunate there. Good chunk of damage in the mortar bunker and completely destroy the mortar. Nice barrage. So, here come the Rangers. More sort of piecemeal attacks. I think the Allies are starting to sort of lose a little bit of their coordination here. Whereas earlier on, they're making these great sort of coordinated plays, attacking multiple different fronts at once or attacking all together. And now they're sort of going in piecemeal, cycling back and forth between the healing stations, 1 or 2 at a time instead of all together, and consequently attacking 1 or 2 at a time instead of all together, like you see here, right? You see 2 players attacking 4 or 3, because one's obviously all over here. But 2 players attacking 3. Meanwhile, Trapmaker's back at the healing station, and Matron is also back at the healing station, right? So you'd like to see them working together a little bit more closely. But they have timed this to go with an artillery barrage at the same time. That is what you like to see, because it makes it more difficult for the enemy to sort of just go anywhere out of the way. They have to go either backwards or to the side, and if you are attacking, that makes it difficult to do that, and also makes them sort of abandon their defensive position. Very aggressive airborne drop coming in from Trapmaker. You'd like to see his teammates come back him up, so that these paratroopers that are coming down to him just get killed immediately. Or is that another supply drop? Might be. Oh, it's a smoke barrage. Interesting. That's right, allies get a smoke barrage off map. Which is handy for things exactly like this, making Oswins just miss every shot. Look at that. Barry's under attack. Alright. Don't know what that was. Maybe it was an AT gun. So here's a sniper from Razor. 3 kills on it now. Snipers are definitely going to be a really valuable tool for the Axis in this game if he can manage to keep it alive, because the biggest thing that the Axis are contending right now is airborne and rangers. And every guy that the sniper snipes from an airborne squad or a ranger squad, just like that, is a big chunk of both manpower and munitions removed from his opponent's companies, because rangers and airborne, well, I guess these guys don't have Thompsons, but it's a big chunk of manpower, and if you get them to remove a weapon from the squad, like say if they have Thompsons or something, then it's also manpower. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, Hellcat, not great. Good hits from the pack, just been sitting here for a while. There's another Sherman going down. I really wish players were better at telling their tanks to back up, instead of having them turn around and show their rear armor when they want to move. I realize it's not that easy in this game compared to the second game, which has a dedicated go backwards hotkey. But it just hurts to see tanks turn around and get shot in the back when they didn't need to.
Enemy unit down.
So here comes the elite infantry glob coming for this AT gun. If they can get that out, then they'll clear the way for these tanks. Although, as long as the AT gun is under pressure, that still really, in a way, sort of clears the way for the tanks, because, oh, a nice mine, though. Can I get one more shot off? Nope. But the AT gun does go down. And the Hellcat's going to get the jump on this. Okay, here we go. Another artillery barrage. It's one armored car. And the bunker. Alright, solid. Bet the Axis are really hating this artillery right now. I have complained in the past about artillery in various games. One specific one comes to mind if you have been watching all of these. But also just sort of in general, you know, my opinion most of the time is that they're not worth the pop. Although in 4v4s, when there's more troops on the field from all players, it alleviates that a bit. But if you're able to consistently make good use of barrages to just inflict casualties onto key units and damage key units each time, they can be very useful. And that, I think, is what's going on here. The Allies have, like, just like this, right? They decrew an 88. Here's a trailer. God, no, I missed it! Oh, I missed it! Oh, man. That's the howitzer from Underpants. 28 kills. Well, I feel sad. I feel like stick around for bonus content. I think after this, I am going to fast forward to that point and stick a clip at the end of this video to see that barrage, because that's really what I wanted to see. That's what we're here for. Armor car goes down to Zooks. Nice long range shot. Gets the main gun on the Martyr as well. I mean, was the AT gun? I don't know. Someone got the main gun on the Martyr. So if someone's got a tank to come in here with right now, that would be great. Looks like they don't. So here come the ambush rifles. Maybe try to finish off the Martyr, and they do. You can see these ambush rifles doing the ambush rifle thing, right? Cloaking in cover. They do get the ambush bonus, so these guys are doing quite a lot of damage. Quite a lot of damage, that's how words work. Razor Sniper up to 15 kills now. 16, in fact. Here goes another Ostwind that's not going to accomplish very much. Other than make these tank destroyers prime targets for this AT gun. This Hellcat is surely going to go down. Uh-oh, here's the airborne rush on the sniper, on the mortar, on the 88. Oh man, there's not a whole lot to stop this. The armored car that's almost dead is here. You want to see the rest of the team back him up. What's everyone doing? Guys, Trapmaker's making the play here. With a little bit of help, you can do the thing. Oh no. Oh no, you hate to see it. I was rooting for him, but nobody backed him up. Oh, that's a shame. There were some assets here and there on the field. These units here, right? Even the ambush rifles. You know, I realize I've only got a couple bazookas left, but when you're making a wild play for a... Well, okay, there it goes. So, I guess it works out. Anyway, you know, when you're making a wild play for a unit like that, every body you can have on the field takes pressure off of every other body on the field. This is all I'm meaning to get at. Anyway, there's a sniper on from Attack Taco that has revealed itself, so if the Axis are paying attention, they'll know that there is an enemy sniper on the field. But it seems as though they might not, because Razor's still freely shooting with his. So I think Attack Taco's trying to set up for the counter snipe. Let's go to his perspective real quick, and turn on the Fog of War. You can see his teammates trying to bait out with riflemen. That's exactly what's going on. And a keen player will recognize that, like, oh man, that's suspicious as hell. Come on, get the counter snipe. He's right there. He's right there. Oh man, you hate to see it. Yeah, come on. Just shoot. Right there. There you go. Man, that was a little bit more arduous than it needed to be, and this sniper is now in a bit of danger, but they did it. If you have a sniper, and I realize we are benefiting from information that whoever sniper that was did not have, but you see players sort of able to recognize this. If you have a sniper and you see enemies just sort of throwing riflemen at the front line one at a time for no real gain, it's very possible that you are being baited into a counter snipe, and it's just sort of something that you have to have a feel for. Although Outer Banks is continuing to do that, so I mean, I don't know. I guess if you just expect your opponent to just kind of do that thing sometimes, then I guess what reason did he expect? What reason did he have to expect a counter snipe? Not sure what this icon is on the airborne. Someone in the comments let me know if you like. These are walking wounded. Maybe those were walking wounded before? I think they were just rifles. Alright, here comes a walking Stuka from Unlimited onto the Jeep. The sniper. And gets neither. I mean, he hits the Jeep, doesn't blow up.
Lost a unit. They're all dead.
What's going on over here? We got how many Ostwinds does Run Zombie have in his company? Does he not have a single tank? These things are not that expensive compared to some other tanks. Maybe he just put all of his fuel into Ostwinds because you can get a lot of them, relatively speaking. Which is an interesting decision. I can't say I've ever seen anyone else do that. The piecemeal rifles, they keep on coming and they don't stop coming. And somehow this one manages to get out of the arc of that machine gun. There's another artillery barrage. Where's it going? I'm not sure. Ah, hither. On yonder medic bunker before that gets set up. Oh, what's this AT gun doing? Oh, this is playing with fire. You, sir, are playing with fire, Team Not Advance. It's under fire from mortars. Oh, man. Don't like to see that.
Enemy unit down.
New artillery barrage. Let's see if it finishes off the martyr. So I just don't care, really not going to move this thing? If he does not lose this, I will be astonished. And it wasn't even locked down, like he could have moved it at any time. Well, I can't believe he got away with that. I was sure he would die. So here's a new 88 up from Run Zombie. Gonna kill some jeeps. Not sure what those jeeps are there to counter. The sniper that's on for the allies I had on a hot key and is no longer here. There goes another sniper.
Enemy unit down.
And Schutzwagen. Get fine with the RR. If Attack Taco can recognize that this martyr is pretty much unprotected, he can probably take it out too. I just don't care, I'll be honest, has been kind of lax in paying attention to when this martyr is in danger. But Crete veterans with the G43 slow are going to come in and save the day. I'm going to apply the slow effect to these guys. So let's take a look at the pop, huh? Forget to turn on cinematic mode. Axis have been losing pop for a bit now, I think. And you can see they are down to 36, so the Allies slowly starting to get the advantage on that respect. Having held the sort of center of the map for the most part for some time now. Big whiff from the Walking Stuka, a whole lot of nothing. These things need to be used in pairs. And they just take up so much pop when you use them in pairs, and so much fuel for that matter in your company.
Enemy unit.
Does he have something to try to take advantage? I guess he's just sort of scouting and happen to run into it. Technically, with like a rear armor hit, this Jeep could kill the martyr. It's just very like you can see it even doing damage to the front, right? It's just very unlikely to happen in any reasonable amount of time. Yeah, looking for the crit. He got the martyr down to 0 hit points doing that, so he just needed the crit, and you're not likely to get the crit against armor with a Jeep. It can happen. It's more likely if you hit it in the back, but it's not super likely. We have a defensive medic on from Razor, presumably to go with one of these various bunkers. One thing that a lot of players don't seem to know that you can do with defensive medics. I'll put a pin in that. The Broom Bear was buffed this patch. It's much more accurate now. So you can see that squarely nailed that AT gun. Anyways, I was saying, defensive medics, you can put them inside a bunker, like this actually, just like this. It does not have to be a medic bunker, but medic bunkers are sort of the natural one to do it with. And it lets you effectively make that bunker into a casualty clearing station. It has a healing aura on a timer that it can make. And it's a pretty quick aura too. It's much faster than the half-track heal. But of course it is limited in duration because it's like the casualty clearing station. So if you are playing defensive and you have a medic, make sure to get a bunker too to go with it. It's real handy. Speaking of medics, not sure what Razors was planning to do here. Let's check the kills on these artillery. 45 on underpantses, about half of which was in the initial barrage.
Our forces are taking casualties.
7 on tacos, but he's been doing some damage on bunkers and stuff, I think. Here we go. And no, it's Matron who's been doing the damage to bunkers and such. Yeah, 12 and all of these things. Yeah, so 3, I don't know how to count, a number of howitzers on for the Allies, and they are managing to win the encounters on the ground too. And the way that they're doing that is what you can see here. I've commented that they've been sort of hit and miss doing this in the past, but for the most part, what they've been doing is they have been pushing together. They have been concentrating their troops into one area, and they might be about to pay the price for that very tactic. Oh man. Well, that is the counter to it, after all. There has to be one. They're concentrating their forces, their units, and pushing as one through a sort of a spearhead kind of deal. And in so doing, they're basically just able to overwhelm whatever it is that they're facing against with all this elite infantry with handheld anti-tank and so on. I think these are carbines? It's like a carbine upgrade for airborne or something like that, I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what this icon is. Anyway, basically what I'm trying to get at is the Allies are at a disadvantage on field population because they've got all these howitzers, but they're winning the engagements anyway because they're concentrating the forces. That's what I'm trying to say, that's all. Earlier in the game, they were sort of doing it piecemeal, cycling one at a time, but they seem to have sort of gotten more coordinated now, once again anyway. Now, the Axis do have this 88 and this half-track taking up some pop, and the Broom Bear, although the Broom Bear has got a fairly fast cooldown if I recall correctly. But those all have a bit more field presence, I think, than the 105s, because the Walking Stuka also has a very fast cooldown to compensate for the fact that it is otherwise kind of garbage. Oof. A lot of sneak AT gun hits on the back ends of Allied tanks this game. You really want to be careful moving your tanks along the front line, right? You want to back it up and then move it further along the back and then bring it forward again. So it looks like the Allies are shifting right, looking to mix it up a bit. But the paratroopers have been spotted by the machine gun, so if the Axis are paying attention, they'll be able to recognize this and react to it, either by pushing in here or shifting left. And given how honestly reactionary the Axis have been playing, I suspect we will probably see them shifting left rather than pushing right. And that is honestly why the Allies are winning this game, I think, is because they are just being much more proactive and the Axis are not. That is the feeling that I get, anyway. As much as they like throwing away tanks. But then, for the Allies, what else is new? Oh, here comes another artillery barrage. On the Martyr? No, that's the Sherman. On stuff. On friendly fire. No, I know how to tell colors apart. I got confused because there's blue units back here. Underpants is getting very aggressive with these Rangers. But yeah, no, solid artillery barrage. Look at all these casualties. Holy cow. Yeah, on this game, the artillery is doing pretty well for itself. Yeah, Trapmaker getting the heck out of here. Or attempting to. I guess his fire up is on cooldown. New artillery. I assume this is targeting this pack so that if someone happened to be trying to crew it, they would die. Or better yet, just blow up the gun. So, nice barrage there. That was honestly very fortunate. Oh man, these poor paratroopers. Just retreat them, dude. Oh. Feels bad. Well, that was a very costly attack for both sides, I think. Trapmaker has been wiped out. Trapmaker has been, I think, leading the attacks a lot for the Allies and taking the brunt of the casualties. So if anyone's going to wipe out it, I guess it makes sense that it's him. Let's look at everyone's remaining units, shall we? Run Zombies got 16 out of 18. Razor's all on field. I just don't care. It's 14 out of 16. Unlimited is 16 out of 19. So Axis are just about at the bottom of the barrel. For the Allies, Troutmaker, of course, is completely wiped out. Matron has 15 out of 18. Lieutenant Underpants is 20 out of 22. Very large coming from Lieutenant Underpants, but I mean, he's infantry, so what do you expect? And where is the Cyan player? There you are. 15 out of 19 for Attack Taco. So about 2 to 3 platoons left for most players, except for, of course, the one player who is obliterated for the Allies and the one player who is all on for the Axis. And with that in mind, this is the time, sort of the phase in the game where things start to shift around. And it really comes down to sort of who has what left in their company relative to what and how much the enemy has left. By which I mean, you know, if you manage to kill off all of the enemy's anti-tank and you have tanks, then, well, you win, probably, unless the enemy can cap you out. Or if you sort of kill all of their anti-sniper things and you have a sniper, then you're in real good shape, and so on. If you remove all of the enemy's units you're able to cap and you have capping power, then you're in good shape. Friendly fire hit on this bunker, I think, from the 88. So we'll have to pay close attention to what units these guys are bringing on and what units they're losing. There's a new truck from Unlimited. So there's a big push over here from Attack Taco, which gotten big territory gains. That's just making this territory loss for the Axis much more aggressive. They're losing 1 pop a minute now. They're down to 30 to the Allies' is 40. And this is really if the Allies want to win a player down, which is definitely a difficult thing to do. They're going to want to make us, well, they want to do 2 things. 1, not waste units. And 2, definitely capitalize on population as much as they can. Because if the enemy is allowed to get back up to 40 pop, and they are missing a player completely, they'll be in big trouble. Oh man. 22 goes on the Broom Bear. Yeah, the buff on this thing is definitely paying off, it seems. Not sure what to do with Attack Taco is. He doesn't seem to be paying super close attention. That is honestly a very... he just... lets his infantry just sort of get beat up by the Broom Bear and that other rifle, and then the artillery comes down after that engagement is already over and after he's retreating. A little bit of a misplay from Attack Taco. Meanwhile, over here in the middle, there's another artillery barrage coming down on this 88, doing some damage to the crew, but not quite enough. And with this captured 30 cal and these grenadiers, whatever these rifles are trying to accomplish, they're not really going to be able to do it. We do see Razor using his medic to just sort of spot heal important units like this machine gun, which you like to see. Is at this stage of the game with the low concentration of units, it's much safer to use the medic on the front line like this because it's much less likely to get rushed by an overwhelming blob. Speaking of overwhelming blobs, here comes a bunch of riflemen from Attack Taco. What we're not seeing, I was about to say something stupid along the lines of what we're not seeing is attrition tools, but the Allies have a bunch of howitzers. The thing about that, though, even then, those are on a long timer, and you have a lot of them, which kind of compensates for that, I guess, but it's not something like a mortar or a... somebody's all on field. Whoever the blue player is. Yeah, Underpants is all on field. It's not like a mortar or a sniper, which can aggressively attrition units constantly at every moment. Right. I don't know what's going on. The Allies are... it feels like they just sort of turned off the lights in their brains and nobody's home. Oh no, Matron has dropped. Well, that's a shame. Well, I suppose we can probably fast forward through the rest of this then. Well, that's a shame of a way to end a game. I guess this replay was primarily posted for the artillery barrage that we missed, and we will definitely go back and review. But it definitely sort of seemed like a little bit of the Allies that they just sort of stopped. I don't know, they were being real aggressive before, and I realized they were a player down, but I don't know, it just seemed like they weren't really paying super close attention and just letting a lot of units die for who knows what. Howitzers were doing real good this game though. Oh man, like that. Oh my gosh, are the Allies still gonna win? Here's this truck from Unlimited that's been sitting in the back forever. I guess you forgot about it. Bit of a misplay from Unlimited.
Enemy unit down.
Good golly. The Allies might have it. Nice walking Stuka barrage, destroys an AT gun, decreases the other. But not really. And I just don't care, it's gone. Well, that's a shame. Hate to see a game ending by people dropping, but yeah. Kind of funny that the replay freezes up for people dropping, even though it's a replay. That's weird.
Enemy unit down.
Yeah, we'll just fast forward through the rest of this. The medic. 4 kills on the medic. He's just sort of sitting in cover healing himself with the BAR. Ah, the truck survived and the 8-8 has been set up. Wouldn't you have liked to see this a while ago? But no, it looks like it's just Unlimited versus everyone. And this hero medic with 7 kills. Oh, hold on. Every time I fast forward because I think it's over, something interesting starts happening. This is... Yeah, it's a shame to have a game end this way, but there's some goofy stuff happening. Unlimited not giving up. Both sides think they can still win, I guess. But they're gonna have to do something about these howitzers, though. Great googly moogly. Matron having dropped his is no longer here, of course. Because the game automatically sends a truck to come pack it up and take it off the field when a player drops. Of note is that the Allies don't have a machine gun. So they have no way to really suppress infantry. Now granted, the Axis don't have a lot of infantry. But they do have a machine gun. And they do have a medic with a BAR. So if the Axis are aggressive and move around a lot, which, well, what I was about to say is lest they get hit by an artillery piece, which they're doing now. The Axis can sort of make sure that they constantly fire, maneuver, shift positions, you know, attack, flank, and so on without getting pinned down long enough to get hit by an artillery barrage. They might be able to pick apart the Allies using that machine gun and the medic and so on. But that exact thing did not happen by the time I was done attempting to say as such. So, yeah, this is well and truly done. We can finish this now. I do like to see the medic with the BAR. That's always fun. Up note is defensive can actually get a doctrine that lets you just buy weapons for your medic. I guess he didn't have that one unlocked, because I didn't see any weapons for the defensive officers either.
Enemy unit down.
In fact, with 2 defensive players, one of whom at the very least had the defensive officer lieutenant, or I'm surprised we didn't see more officers either. You think you'd have at least like 2. It's a big investment to get that unlock for him. Anyway, that was an interesting game. Certainly a foil to the various other games in which I bitch and moan about artillery not being useful. This game, definitely they paid off. The Allies did a good job of concentrating their forces so that the Axis could not push far up enough to deal with these howitzers and could not sort of push off the Allies who were largely fighting with an inferior amount of population. Although, I mean, that said, I discount the fact, you look at it now, right, the Axis on 23 pop, part of the reason the Allies were able to do that is because they had established a commanding position in the middle of the map before they brought on artillery. And that's really what you want to do. Artillery is something that you use to cement your position and sort of soften up the enemy in preparation for a push. And that is exactly what the Allies did this game with their artillery. So I like to see that. Good to see a unit that is as finicky as artillery being used well. And good to see just sort of the team play that went into it. Shame that it ended by people dropping, but it was an entertaining game nonetheless. Now, let's cut to that 28 kill artillery barrage, shall we?